morning and welcome to Midweek Refuel. I'm James, pastor of C3 Limitless. Welcome along this morning, and a big shout out to the people you can't see, which is Josh and Evelyn. They're actually helping me film here today in the studio. Here we are approaching Christmas, and Christmas is a time that we love. And so I want to talk today about the love language of Christmas. All right. Gary Chapman wrote a book perhaps 20 years ago, and it was called The 5 Love Languages. Perhaps you're familiar with that. If not, go borrow it, download it. It really is worthwhile to read that. And he posed a love language theory there, and the idea is that different people respond to love in different ways, which makes a lot of sense when you think about it. So here are the 5 ways that he posed in his book. He said that people respond to words of affirmation. They respond and feel loved when they receive acts of service, so people are kind to them. The third one was people respond to love when they receive gifts, or they are fourthly given quality time, or last, when they respond to love, physical touch, or even acts of intimacy. And so perhaps that rings true for you. And just a question right at the beginning of today's post is, what is your love language? What is the love that you respond to? But also, what is your natural way of showing love? And that's a very interesting question to ask of yourself. And so men are different to women, and different people are obviously different to others. And the great thing is, once you learn your love language, you learn what you respond to, and you also learn what other people respond to. Then you know how to treat that person as opposed to that person, and theoretically it'll make your life easier if you can respond and act and operate within the love languages that you are gifted in, and teach others how you respond to love as well. Pretty cool book. There was a recent study in the USA. A couple of universities did this. This was an online study, and it asked the question: how do you think most people respond to love? And they had to answer true, false, or don't know to 60 different scenarios. Now, very interesting, it was what they thought other people would respond to, not what they themselves would respond to. And the question said, most people feel loved when, and then there were 60 different scenarios. And again, they had to answer true, false, or I don't know. So here are the results of what 500 people said. The number one response was, most people feel loved when someone shows them compassion in difficult times. That's interesting. Number 2, most people feel loved when a child snuggles up to them. Number 3 was, most people feel loved when their pets feel happy to see them. I just think that's amazing. And number 4, people feel loved when someone tells them, "I love you." And I think that rings true. So I'm going to discuss some of these this week and have a look at that. I actually asked a few people how they feel most loved themselves. And so one of my sons texted me, he said, "I feel most loved when I am with my friends and with my whole family," which is really cool. I love that. Another young guy texted me, I asked him this. He said, "I feel most loved when people make sacrifices for me." And one of my daughters said, "I feel most loved when my dad brings home good food." Guess which daughter? No, actually I said, "Come on, be serious." And she was like, "Come on." But she said, "No, I feel most loved when I receive words of affirmation." So the love language of Gary Chapman and the survey are sort of ringing out for us. So let's talk about these. I asked someone, And they said the British Royals must, well, what would the British Royals' love languages be, And so they only show affection to corgis and to horses, or perhaps to secret lovers. So if any of the British Royals are tuned in today, you guys need to lift your game, because apparently this is how we view you. Anyway, let's talk about what happened in the survey. Number one, people feel loved when someone shows them compassion in difficult times. Now, 2020, a year of difficult times. This has been a crazy year for sure. And lots of death, lots of sickness, lots of times when people were isolated. I was thinking about the USA. I think they're approaching 260,000 deaths in that nation now. And so 260,000 people is a lot of people, 1.7 million worldwide. But let's just focus in on that 250,000, because we can get our heads around that a little bit. I used to live in a suburb of Sydney called Fairfield, and Fairfield was 250,000 people. And so I imagined, when I heard that number, all of Fairfield being wiped off. Right now I live on the Gold Coast, and the Gold Coast is pretty close to 650,000 people. And so basically you could say the whole North Gold Coast wiped out. That's what 250,000 people look like. And so that's just to try to put that in context. In America, you'd be wiping out all of Pittsburgh, right? You'd be wiping out all of a significant city. And so here it is. People are saying they respond to love when someone shows them compassion in difficult times, okay? And so one of the love languages for Christmas is that we can show people compassion. People have been through stuff this year. Many people have lost their job and they've not been able to recover. Many people have not been able to be with the ones they wanted to be. And as I speak today, there's still nearly 40,000 Australians who can't be where they want to be this Christmas, and they've been like that all year. And so showing some compassion to people who've been through a difficult time. Number two was people feel loved when a child snuggles up to them. Now this gets into the idea of touch, and I think also love that has no limits, or love that is just coming without judgment. Now this rings true as well. And so if you're a young person watching this, get up and go and hug your mum or your dad, and just give them a hug and just say, hey, just want to show you my love language. It comes natural for me. This Christmas, give your grandparents a big hug and hold on to them. Just linger a little longer, right? And we can all do that this Christmas. Just show people some love. One of my favourite things to do when I was young was to go and stay with my grandparents. I loved doing it on holidays. Give my mum and stepdad a bit of a break. And I'd go over to my grandparents. And my grandfather was a very tall man. And so to accommodate him in the evenings, they bought a really long lounge. And so my grandparents would retire into the living room to watch TV at the end of the day, after dinner and after the evening walk, and they'd switch on the news or the programs there, and my grandfather would take his position there and lie on this lounge. Now, because he was so tall, he'd actually had to bend up his legs a little bit, and when I was really little, I could fit on the couch, and I would tuck in behind him and rest on his hip, and I'd fit in that little gap on the lounge, and we'd throw a mohair rug over us. And to me, it was the most wonderful, safe and warm place in all the world, and I loved being there. And I was showing my love for my grandfather, which I really loved, and he was showing his love for me by letting me be there, and I loved that. And so this Christmas, reach out and touch somebody. Now, if you're in a place where you've got to be COVID safe and everything, I get it, right? Love someone from 6 feet away. Give them a fist pump. Do whatever you've got to do. I was listening to an interesting podcast this morning about a couple in America, who she's a doctor, and her husband has a compromised immune system. He's had some kidney failure, and so they realised very on in this pandemic that they were going to have to. She was going to have to look after him. She's obviously in the medical system. She's coming into contact with people every day who are sick. And so they made arrangements that they would live and love each other 6 feet apart, and they would just carry on this, and they're doing it today. And the radio podcast I was listening to was just tracking how that was going for them, and it was actually her act of love to remain physically distant from him, and they had to work out other ways of showing love and other ways of doing that, and rather than their normal ways. And so this Christmas, work out another way of showing love that'd be great for somebody. Number 3 on the list of people these days was that their pets show them love, and they feel love when their pet is happy to see them. Now, to tell you the truth, I have really mixed feelings about this. I cast my mind back to my first ever pet that we had in our family, and that was a dog. He was a German Shepherd, an army-trained German Shepherd. His name was Alec. Now, this dog was so good in our family. I mean, this dog would hear the school bell, which was like 2 minutes before school was out, and he would climb the fence, run down and meet me at school, and then walk me home. Such a cool dog. And he was glad to see me. I was glad to see him. So I get that pets can show people affection, and we can do that. And research does show that there are elements of love and companionship that animals can get with people, and there's a dependency that you can begin to have with one another, like a parent and child almost. And so it's very interesting that like that. I do think it's getting out of hand when people want to take companion pets on planes and on buses and into Ubers and things like that, into restaurants. I do think it's getting out of hand. I get that blind people need dogs, right? And that's cool. But when you want to bring your pony on board a flight with you, it's getting out of hand, right? So, and I also suspect that there's an over-reliance by some people to get affection and love and affirmation and connection from an animal as opposed to a human being. Just saying. Maybe you need some other people to love you besides your animal. Anyway, number four. Most people feel love when someone tells them, "I love you." Now, those words, let me just ask you, when was the last time you said to somebody, "I love you"? I hope it was recent. When was the last time you said to your weird uncle, "I love you"? Or the awkward grandma, or to that brother and sister you haven't seen for a while. When was the last time that you said to them, "I love you"? It can actually be difficult for us to say those words, especially men to say those words, "I love you." But when you say those words, something happens. Something happens for the receiver. Something happens for you as the speaker. And these are words that show that you care. As a pastor, I'm dealing with words all the time, and I'm trying to be mindful of the words that I say and the way that I say them, because I want people to know that God loves them. I want people to know that we accept them, that we love them as well. And so even as we're writing Christmas cards, years ago I used to spend hours and hours writing detailed Christmas cards and my thoughts and my words. These days, there's birthday messages or Christmas messages, and we're typing all the time. And I'm trying to be more thoughtful with my words than just, you too, happy birthday, Merry Christmas, or whatever. Trying to reach out with my words and make sure that the words carry some element of heart. This Christmas, more than ever, it is a time to show someone some love. And you can do that, whatever your natural love language is, to to express. Maybe it is an act of service. Maybe it is touching people. Maybe it's a hug. These days, maybe it might be a fist bump. Maybe it is some kind things to text or to speak or to write. Maybe it is about simply giving someone your ear. But this Christmas 2020, it's been crazy, and it might have been crazier for people around you than you even realize. So if you could just do that, I think we can enter into 2021 perhaps a little more loving than we were coming into 2020, and it'll be awesome. You know, I don't know how many more Christmases we have until we see Jesus, and until, you know, his mission for us is wrapped up on the earth and we go to be with Jesus. But I believe he's going to return, and I do know this: he's coming sooner in 2020 than he was in 2019, and it feels like a lot sooner. What about you? What's your love language for Christmas? Go share the love, people, all right? God bless you. Hey, see ya.
See ya.
Did we just record? We're off?
Yeah.
Great.
Are you sure you put record?
Oh, shush. That was really good.
Have we finished?
Yes.
Okay.
Bye.